Hi, today we're in Honiara, the Solomon Islands, at a participatory planning and community empowerment workshop. We've got Mr. Giacomo Rambaldi from the Netherlands, from an organisation called CTA. Giacomo's name is synonymous with participatory three-dimensional modelling, a method that's used to map, for communities to map their resources and their landscape. We always talk a lot about the benefits of participatory processes, but today we thought we'd ask Giacomo what are some of the risks involved with these participatory mapping processes, and he could highlight some for us. Thank you, Giacomo.
Good question. I think that the fact that in any type of mapping, of community mapping or participatory mapping, participatory GIS initiative, you are facilitating the disclosure of information which is held by knowledge holders, by the communities, maybe for centuries, over generations. And you facilitate the disclosure of that, and not only the disclosure, but the localization of the information on a map. This entails that piece of information is easily traceable by other people and easily exploitable. Now, in whatever you do with a community, with any knowledge holder, and you facilitate that person or that group of person to localize a piece of information on a map, you create a small risk, okay, which can become also a great risk, okay, depending on the type of information which is localized. For example, if fishermen are locating a turtle nesting area, for example, I came across that in the Philippines, and then at the end of the mapping they identified like 40 turtle nesting areas in a given area, and then they said, okay, now but what should we leave this information, make it public or remove it? And the conclusion was we have to remove it, because otherwise tourists, researchers, everybody will go there and harvest the eggs. Okay, so that's a classic example of a risk which is involved, which is linked to displaying this kind of information. Also, for example, the location of hardwood and so on, poachers would go and harvest the wood. And also, for example, doing video documentary on a specific location on how people harvest the forest, and after a couple of years that video is on YouTube, and government has a new policy that that particular activity is forbidden. That is a proof of illegal activities which can harm the community. So one has always to be very aware of the consequences of what you put on a map, okay? Because nowadays you don't put only textual information on a map, but you can put multimedia on a map, you can do a lot of things, okay? So, and also drawing lines on maps. Drawing a line on a map is a seed for a conflict, okay? Many rural traditional communities don't have lines as boundaries. Boundaries are fuzzy, are seasonal, move around and so on. I think it's a Western deformation to understand a boundary as a line, but the tendency of the facilitators is to want lines, okay? So all these are risks, and there is a code of ethics which was developed by members from the practitioner community, and we try to adhere to that code of ethics and be aware of all the risks which are involved, and to minimize the risks which are related to the fact that community members are disclosing that kind of information and making it public through a map. So the information on a map should have different layers of protection, and some pieces of information may be made public and others may be kept confidential.